Hello. How are you doing, Yonah? It's been, I don't know how many years since I've seen you.
500.
It's been many years.
So we're going to talk about, Boruch.
Yeah.
Ready?
I'm more than ready. This is it.
You're going to tell me.
Game time. Well,
so the goal is going to be first to talk about Montreal, right? To tie in the Torah. Should I speak like a Sephardi? You have a Sephardi crowd over there or no?
So you can start now. Go for it.
So how I should just go?
Welcome to a new podcast, new video. We're going to give it the name of Growing Up Jewish in Montreal. This is Yonah Hazan. I'm Baruch of Diskind. We both grew up in Montreal. We had a great time growing up. We went through elementary, high school, then we split ways. We reconnected recently, and we really want to spend some time together, but at the same time, get some tachlis out of it, get some use out of it. And therefore, we're going to schmooze a bit about our growing up in Montreal. And then we're going to learn some Torah as well. So, Yonah, what do you have to say?
So first of all, I want to mention how Rabbi Diskind is a very humble man. Simply stated, he mentioned his name as Baruch Dov. Really, he's Rabbi Diskind. So that just shows his great humility, his great humbleness. That's number one. Number two is I want to point out how thank you, Baruch Dov, for thinking of this great idea. It's your original idea, your original productivity is coming into play right here. And as you mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about our growth in Montreal, our youth, our days.
Our fun times.
Fun times, yeah, thank God.
Well,
yeah,
I'd like to interject for a second. You said Rabbi. Did I say Rabbi by you? If not, I apologize.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not. The secret is, you can't tell anyone, but this is going to be public. The secret is I have one bechina left, one test in my smicha program, like a minor, like the smallest test that you could do. I didn't do it yet, and I have to just get it done. But the yeshiva was closed because of COVID. It was a whole. So we're going to get it done eventually. So technically speaking,
you are a rabbi. So wait, what do you do?
I'm a rabbi, but
you are a rabbi. What do you do?
I'm missing so I presently teach Judaic studies, Torah studies in a school, Hillel Yeshivah, Deal, New Jersey, or technically it's Ocean Township, New Jersey, and I live in Clifton, New Jersey, which is right near the Passaic and Clifton is one community in the North New Jersey area. For those Portlanders who may not know the map, the north part of New Jersey is referred to North Jersey. So there's a few Jewish communities, Teaneck, Fairlawn, Passaic, Clifton, and others. So I live in the Passaic Clifton community, and I presently reside in Clifton. That's where my house is in New Jersey.
So explain this for a second. Passaic and Clifton, so for example, I was in Yeshivah in Darkhain, so were you in Shayoshev. The way they explained it was like Lawrence is for the rich people, and for Rockaway it was for the poor people. So the poor people called it more like East Lawrence or West Lawrence to make it sound fancy. So tell me, which one's Clifton? Which one's Clifton? Which one's Passaic?
Clifton and Passaic, it's hard to know. If you look at a map, it's like a horseshoe. So Clifton is a horseshoe. Basically, the Jews were in the middle in Passaic, and then the Passaic community starts spilling out. So we basically started spilling out into different, the tips of Clifton. The Jews really presently only reside in very few areas of Clifton. As I mentioned, it started off as a Passaic community for a long time and spilled into the Clifton community. My area is not the rich area. That's for sure not. We're all rich. We're rich in health. We're rich in Torah, in mitzvot. We're rich in what we have. One of my rabbis, it's funny you mentioned Yeshivah Shayoshev. One of my rabbis used to say that some people are so poor, all they have is money. And basically, we have to recognize that riches is not wealth, is not money. Wealth is really the way wealth is measured is by what a person has: marriage, a wife, a husband, kids, health, a job, satisfaction of life, happiness, smiling, simchat hayim. Right? It's very important. Person should be happy in life. That's the most important thing. I have a security guard in my school. Every morning I see him. And I would say, Howie, good morning. How you doing? And every day his response is the same response. He says, Thank God. I'm doing great. I'm on the right side of the grass. So we wish to be on the right side of the grass for many, many more years to come.
I know. This is why I want to do a podcast with you. You're funny, and you got good things to say, and you got Torah as well. Awesome. All right, let's go for it.
So talking about Montreal, this podcast is about our growth, our upbringing in Montreal. So I wanted to talk about a fond memory I have when we were younger. I like to consider myself young as I am now, but when we were younger, believe it or not, there was a time when we were younger than now. We used to have very vast experiences in the snow. As we all know, the rumors are true. I am confirming them right now. Montreal is a city that snows a lot. When I say a lot, I mean a lot. And there's just like the 3 inches of snow that snows in New York and New Jersey, and it shuts down the entire tri-state area, is something to laugh about, because in Montreal, it snows in November, December, January, February, March.
I hate to tell you something. In Portland, it's literally a dusting and it's all over, which they don't salt the roads. We don't have snow tires. What are you supposed to do? We don't have a choice.
Okay, you probably enjoy warmer weather. What's the weather right now?
It's last time I got a little cold. It went down to 28 maybe. But yeah, it did. Last year snowed for 2 days. This year, and so far nothing. So yeah, that's the reason.
So growing up in Montreal, there was a lot of snow. And one thing I actually noticed this driving from New York to Montreal one time, is that when you have a lot of snow on the road, in the middle of the road, on the side of the road, somebody's even coming down at you, and if there's a full moon outside, the snow is very shiny. It's very bright. The moon actually makes the snow, it reflects off the snow. The light of the moon reflects off the snow and makes it look almost as if it's daylight outside. I'm sure you could Google pictures of this, and I'm sure they'll come up. But it's a very interesting phenomenon. If you have a full moon outside, a full moon does give you some light, but all of a sudden when you have a full moon with a lot of snow, the full moon and the snow together make it seem like it's almost as a daylight. Obviously not like the sun, but it really makes it very, very bright and very illuminated. And you could shut off all the lights. You could even shut off the headlights when you're driving on the road, and you'll be able to see clearly for miles ahead. And it brought me to think something unbelievable that we have actually in this week's Parashat, Parashat Bashalach. It talks about V'Hashem holech lifnehem. The God Hashem was walking in front of the Jewish people. Yomam ba'amud anan. Hashem was walking in front of the Jewish people during the day, and he was leading the Jewish people with the cloud. It says that Hodam haderech. He was leading them along the way. And also, Valayla b'amud esh, and in the night, Hashem was leading with a pillar of fire. Why? Why was Hashem leading them with a cloud during the day and leading the Jewish people with a pillar of fire during the night when they were traveling through the desert? So the pasuk finishes, so that people they should be able to have light. It should be illuminated for the Jewish people during the day and during the night. So during the day, there was a cloud, and the cloud was seemingly leading them. And in the night, they had fire. And obviously, the fire was that they could have light at night, so it shouldn't be dark. And during the day, they didn't need the light, but they needed some sort of protection. The cloud gave them that protection. So they got the protection during the day from the cloud, and in the night, they got the protection and the light from the fire. So there's a great parable that's brought down in the Ma'am Loez that there was a king. A king one time was judging his people, and he had his sons at his side. And on the way to the palace, he walked with a torch, and he was walking in front of his sons, illuminating the way for his sons on the way to the palace. So all the ministers who were walking behind him and his son said, Mr. King, you think maybe we could help you out and hold the torch for you? Maybe we could illuminate the way for you. Like, why are you the one carrying the torch? Like, usually the ministers carry the torch, the servant, someone. Why is the king, the almighty king, why is he the one carrying the torch? So the king said, no. I'm not letting anyone hold the torch. I want to do it myself. Why? He said, not because I lack servants, not because I lack ministers, not because I lack children. I have plenty of people who could hold the torch for me. But I want to show the world how much I cherish my children. And that's why I'm walking, leading my children walking on the way to the palace, and I'm holding the torch for them, for my children. So people can learn a lesson from this. The ministers will see it, and the media will see it, and they'll take pictures, and they'll send it all over Instagram and WhatsApp and Twitter and Facebook, and the whole world will see that the king is the one holding the pillar for his children, and not vice versa. And now this is really the lesson that Hashem was teaching the Jewish people. Hashem was teaching the Jewish people, and he was actually teaching the whole entire world. That Hashem says, you know why I'm carrying a torch at night? You know why I'm putting a torch around the Jewish people at night, illuminating the way for them, protecting them, lighting the way so they could see clearly, they could have light. They didn't have electricity, they were in the desert. There's no electricity in the desert. I mean, maybe now there's electricity in the desert, but there was no electricity back then. So Hashem says, no, I want to show the Jewish people, and I want to show the world that I want to have the merit. Hashem is showing his children. Hashem wanted to have the merit to show how much he loved and cherished and honored his children, and all the nations should learn from it, and they should respect and honor the Jewish people. And Hashem did this during the day with the cloud, and during the night with the pillar of fire. And it's a lesson. It's a lesson for the world. Now, this lesson, as a matter of fact, was a lesson that occurred once before. Similarly, Abraham, right? Abraham, what happened with Abraham? When the angels came to his house and he pulled them into his house, he gave them a whole meal, a whole feast, the third day after circumcision, which was actually very difficult for him, did it anyhow. He then escorted the angels outside. He escorted them when they left the house. As the Pasuk says, Abraham went with them to escort them. Why was he doing that? Because he wanted to show how much he cherished his guests, how much he cherished the angels, how important they were to him. So this is something Abraham did, and this is something God himself did. And this is really a trait. It's not just a one-time occurrence that happened. It's not just something in the history books. It's a trait. It's important for us. What can we learn from this? What lesson do we get from this story, right? I always like to say we don't look at the Torah as a history book, as something which is not relatable to us. I say we always have to look at the Torah lessons and say, how could this connect to my life? The answer is very simple, is that we have to cherish our own family, our wife, our husband, our spouses, our children, our grandchildren, our parents, our grandparents. We know there's a mitzvah in the Torah of kibud avahem. There's a mitzvah in the Torah to what? To kabed et avira et imecha. You have to treat your parents with respect, with dignity, with love. Also your children. A person has a mitzvah to have children. You have to have children until there's a boy, until there's a girl in the house. Because why? Because Hashem wants us to continue the Jewish nation. But we find in the Torah that parents, which is one generation above, and children, which is one generation below, are both mitzvot in the Torah. Meaning what? Meaning just like Hashem went on his own and led the torch for the Jewish people to show how much he cherished the Jewish people, and Abraham Avinu went and led the servants out of his house on the way. He walked with them on the way a little bit to lead them out of the house, not just throw them out of the house and lock the door. No, he led them out. He walked them out a little bit. So too, we have to realize how much we have to cherish our parents. We have to cherish our children. And as it says in the Torah, you have to love your friend like yourself. We have to cherish in as a bigger picture the Jewish people. So my lesson to you today is act like God. Act like Abraham. Love the Jewish people and continue to do Torah mitzvot. All right, that's the lesson from the moon and the sun and the beautiful, the clouds and the fire that Hashem gave us at night.
All right, so we got to go. Okay, this is the first one. It was something. We definitely got going. We'll try to get this out there this week. If not, next week. We'll be back maybe next week. We'll give it a go. You know,
send me the final product before you send it out.
Consistency is it's all about.